Today, I sat down with a very good friend of mine, a student and a mentee. His name's Oscar Scarcia. He's the founder of Strike Copy, one of the largest email marketing agencies in Australia. He's got some massive clients now, like UGG Shoes, you probably know those, and a ton of other successful companies he works with across the entire world. And when I met him 2 years ago, he was delivering pizzas for Papa John's, didn't know what he was doing, had failed e-commerce, and now he's making $80,000 a month in recurring revenue. And he's so busy that he has to literally turn down business in order to grow his company in the best way possible. So we sat down, we had an amazing, intelligent, high-level, tactical conversation about business. I can't wait for you guys to watch this. It's fairly long, it's almost 2 hours long, and you guys are gonna get a lot of value from this. We talked about strategy, sales, pricing, the future of the marketplace, trends, and how to capitalize on market opportunities. And this is one of my favorite interviews that I've done in a while because I don't really do podcasts anymore. And it's really just a conversation between two friends who have been through a lot together, who have grown different businesses and different verticals, and also have helped each other along the way. And he's awesome at what he does, and I can't wait to share this with you guys. This is, like I said, one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. And also, free stuff in the description if you want it. If not, enjoy the video. I think this video has more game than all of my YouTube videos combined so far. No one will watch it. No one will watch it. Yeah. I think where you really excelled back in the day was speed of execution and just basically speed to contact.
Yeah.
Because that's the name of the game, where you kind of got to think about, like, operationally now, like, how the fuck can you scale past 80?
Yeah.
Which is bigger deals.
Yeah. I think it's bigger deals. And then
charging $25K setup fee.
Yeah. So that is true. That is still something I've got to work on, to be honest, is actually just getting the confidence. Like, it's still such a thing. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I feel like no matter what level you reach, there's always that kind of, you can always be charging more for what you do, which is true in most cases. In some of the deals which I'm closing now, like some deals I close for just way too little, just because it's easy. You know what I mean? Once you have like the sales chops, you know, a 4K a month deal is just such a layup, you know, and it, like, you know, you could easily charge 6-7K for some of the deals that are coming through US as well. So I think for me, it's probably just going to be like, charging more, just letting time run its course, and then just making sure we can operationally actually handle the business that's coming through. Because that's a big thing too. It's like, sales and marketing is cool and bringing the deals is cool, but it's actually like, okay, let's keep these clients and obviously fulfill at a high level. And that obviously requires team, systems, some sort of structure in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of just doing everything at once and just improving it all at once, you know?
That's how the game goes.
That's it, man.
It's funny, dude, because like even me, right, for what I charge for the info stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if you just saw that I was on a Twitter space, but I'm on a Twitter space, and there's, you know, a competitor of mine who I know his one of his very good friends. It's my first time speaking with him, and I realized that he's charging more than what I'm charging.
Yeah.
Almost double.
Wow.
And we know I got the best product. We know I got the most product, right? So I'm like, fuck, like shit, I need to be charging triple.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because now we have everything where we can serve every customer in the marketplace, and that's where you need to be now.
100%.
You need to be now, dude. Because guess what? You need to be. I don't know. When you told me that you got UGG and you charged them $7,000 a month.
Yeah,
I wanted to throw up.
I know, because that's another thing as well. I mean, bro, we can just jump straight into this. I feel like we're already kind of ripping a little bit. Let's do it. So that's another thing too. I feel like out the gate, that's probably one of the highest impact things I think that you were able to teach me, because it's 100% true. And I get it all the time with guys coming into my DMs now that are like, hey, teach me how to start. How do I get to 10K a month? You know what I mean? I think a lot of it is just fear. It's fear that you don't know how you're going to fulfill. And it's fear just to pitch some sort of like price. You know what I mean? Like a price that's actually going to be reasonable. It's actually going to make sense for you to actually go ahead and do the work. Mm-hmm. And I think what you taught me early on was super valuable, because I remember and I came into that with, having all of that fear where it was like, I don't know if I can fulfill the work. I don't know how much to charge. And then your whole thing was like, whatever's in your head, whatever you think about charging, just basically 2x that number and double it.
Yeah.
right? And I feel like that's the confidence that I needed early on to actually go ahead and sign at least some sort of sizable retainer at the time. Because when you're going into it, it's like a 1K deal is like everything because you haven't signed anything before, you know, and that's kind of what you go into these conversations with these massive companies talking about, you know, oh, we're going to do this. Oh, and, you know, we might do it for this. If that's all okay. There's sort of a bit of a nervousness there. But I think where you really helped me was, just instilling like, no. Whatever you're thinking you're charging these people got money, just double it. And I think the first deal I ever closed, a beginner that had never worked on a Klaviyo account or never even fulfilled an agency service ever, was like 5K, a 5K flat deal because of that.
My first deal was $1,000, bro.
Yeah.
$1,000.
Yeah.
And the thing is why I was able to not only teach it and educate it in such a way was because I had the years of sales experience behind me.
Yeah.
And for me, a $100,000 deal on a $15,000 to $25,000 ticket price was every single day for me.
Yeah.
So I had no problem going over pricing options with small businesses and companies. But what really allowed me to be successful and also be able to educate like people like you and you know, is to realize that it's no big deal. I remember the first time, you know, that video that I did back in the day, that deal that I told you about with the guy that was doing payroll processing for the airports, and he was doing 30 million at the time. He was doing $24 million a month.
Yep.
And I pitched this guy. I was 3 months into my sales job, and I pitched this guy on it was 75 grand added on a $500,000 deal. It was 500 grand, and then it was 75K price total cost.
Yeah.
And I heard this guy say, "Okay."
Yeah.
Bro, the payback was 20 grand a week. And I said, he says, "Sounds good. Okay. Send me over. What do you need from me?" And it blew my fucking mind. And so
that's cool. Yeah. That's the thing. And that corporate experience, I feel like, and that's something I wanted to talk about as well. It's like coming from a corporate background like that, selling these big high ticket deals to real business owners, I feel like is such a valuable thing that most people and at least it was true for me, most people that want to jump straight into business or doing stuff for themselves really struggle with when they first start because they just don't have that expertise and that background knowledge. Like, I guess a question for you, because I know that we've talked about this before, but just for the person listening, how do you think that corporate experience has sort of impacted what you're doing now and obviously, you know, just catapulted your growth?
Yeah, it was, if I had to do it all again, I would do it all again. No questions asked.
Super interesting.
I would do it all again. There's only things that I would do differently after I quit that job.
Yeah.
Right? Like not building an ascension model or not doing like a few different things, because like when I ran the numbers on how much I left on the table back between 2021 and 2023, it's in the tens of millions of dollars. Right. And you also, you know, when you're not ahead of the marketplace or you're not constantly innovating and you're not constantly on the cutting edge, and this is in any business, you end up being in a role or in a place where if you're not growing, you're dying, and it doesn't matter how much money you're making because you have to be constantly on the shift of culture, right?
Yeah.
And we can get into some more of that stuff later, but that corporate experience was invaluable to me because it was worth more than money. It was confidence.
Yeah.
Built the confidence. And I also got so much industry experience working with all these different business owners and different businesses. And you know, there would be days where I'd talk to a kid who's my age selling 400 grand a month on Amazon, or a truck driver who's making $75,000 a month and has one other guy working for him, and they have 2 trucks and their profit margins are 75%.
Yeah.
Or a guy who needed money for payroll, and I was able to help him save his business and have him be able to feed his employees.
Yeah.
And so you get all this industry experience and you learn about what people do. That's why, you know, I always say you have to, in order to sell, you first have to understand. And if you do a good job of understanding and then provide a logical path as to how your process or how your service or product helps them and makes them money, either avoids pain, removes pleasure, generates money, or saves them money, then a lot of people are going to do business with you, especially highly successful individuals, highly successful people, and especially bigger companies. Because one of the things that I want to talk about here with you is I want to talk about the experience of selling to people with money and the experience selling to people without money.
Yes.
So especially when I started RCN and I started the agency, I remember my first deal, the woman tried to negotiate, and I said, yeah, the retainer deal, the setup fee is going to be $2,500. And she said, well, if you can do it for $1,500, I'll give you a testimonial.
Yeah.
Back on it, I should have taken the deal. But I said no to the deal because you always are going to notice more buying resistance when people have less money.
Yeah.
Because it's a bigger financial decision.
Exactly. And so on top of that as well, it's 9 times out of 10 with 100% confidence, those people are going to be the hardest to work with, and they're going to be the most needy and request the most.
Hardest to get results for.
Yeah. And exactly right. Hardest to get results for because their business just isn't at a level where, you can just absolutely turn on the tap and just start printing for them,
But on the flip side, the way that you sell those deals is by letting them know how much it's going to do for their business. Because since money is worth more to them, every dollar counts, especially when you're working with small business.
Yeah.
So it's important that you also relay that information to them, because one of the things I think you did really well, and I remember, when I jumped on a few sales calls with you just for fun, we really broke down the value of the service. And unfortunately, both of those customers were just not qualified. But we really dove into, and like the stuff that I worked with you on was diving into the service and diving into exactly what you're going to be able to achieve for the client. And it really walks them through a logical sales process, which allowed you to get to where you are now because of the fundamentals and because of the principles. Now, when you have your team and you have your setter, you have your closer, you have these people on your team, from an operational level, you're just the reason you've been able to have not only success, but longevity, because you've been in the game almost 3 years, 2-3 years now.
Yeah, that's right.
Is because you focused on the fundamentals.
Yeah.
What are the day-to-day things that are working? How are they working? How can we make them do better? Yep. And now you see that everything just simply works. And so from an operational perspective, it's just dialing in on the different things that you need 100%. To do to grow the business.
Oh man, without question. And it's so funny because it's like you look out into the market today, especially like coaches, gurus, guys that think they know what they're doing when it comes to running an agency. And it's always, a lot of it, at least anyway, obviously you got the good eggs, the ones that are actually selling the good coaching and doing the good stuff. But a lot of it is gimmick-based, hack-based, sort of this kind of fancy strategy or gimmick that's working for like a short 3-month window. You got to get in now, this, biz op, you know what I mean? It's very sort of flash in the pan style stuff, where always what I found the value in your, the initial sort of cash flow syndicate stuff that you guys were teaching always was everything was really principles based. It wasn't based on, flash in the pan stuff that was working in 3-month sprints or this new biz op offer. It was like, here's the basics. Here's how to run a sales process. Here's how to work a lead sheet. If you just do this consistently, bang, 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 every single day for the next, 2 years, it's just absolutely impossible. There's no possible chance that you lose. And it's so funny because now, I'm the exact same way with my sales guys and my head of growth. The first sort of 2-3 months of working with him was just drilling in that exact principle. It was like, here's how to do it. Here's how we run a cold call. Here's what we're going to do that nobody else is doing in the market because they're scared to do. And if we just consistently show up and do this every single day, it's absolutely confirmed that you're going to win. And you're going to, and we're going to, just crush everybody because no one's doing this stuff.
Exactly.
It's the basic stuff, especially, in like new markets like e-com where, everybody in the e-com space is, relatively young. You don't really have much background experience. It's like, if we just come in and do the stuff that nobody else is doing, like, calling every single lead that we get within 5 minutes, just following up and keeping manual lead tracking of everything. It's like all of this principles-based stuff instead of the hacky sort of gimmicky stuff is what allows us to continue to crush in a market that keeps getting, more and more competition flooded,
Exactly. And I think that's why you, and I got to give Max credit as well, you guys have been able to be so successful is because you guys focus on the principles and the fundamentals. Like cold email was working for a while. I don't really think especially for your industry, I don't think cold email works at all anymore. I think it
still works. I just think it's lost its efficiency.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? Everything still works. Every method still works, right? Every method of acquisition still works. Fucking direct mail flyers still work, right? But, I could probably send outreach via carrier pigeon, and because it's so unique, I would get responses.
Exactly. Right? Yeah.
So I think it still works, but it's kind of lost its charm. And one thing that I know inside and out, and something that you know now after running your business for 2 years, is there is no substitute, not only for years of experience, but there's no substitute to getting on the phone and just speaking with someone. and showing
Facts.
them that you're a real person, that you're competent, you're confident, and you know
Facts.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that is the differentiator between the people who are wildly successful and the people who are the 10K a month people. Because you've been at, and I want to ask you this. So what was your experience? What changed? I remember when we sat down and we did our first interview. This was back in the day. This is what, 2 years ago now.
Yeah, man. A couple of years ago.
You were at
First
like
case study testimonial.
Yeah, you were at 7. I have to find that video somewhere, but you were at 7K a month.
Yeah.
It was like a month or two after you got started.
Right? Yes. It was quick.
Let me ask you this. My question to you, Mr. Scarcia, is how has your approach to the way that you run your business changed? How has it changed over the course of the past 2 years? And what is the difference between doing 7K a month or 10K a month and doing 80K a month?
So, first thing, the approach to business. I think it's stayed relatively similar in the sense that obviously coming out the gate, it was a very fast growth, especially for someone that's a beginner that had no sales background whatsoever, had dabbled around in different business models before, and knew that this is something that I wanted to do, but hadn't really developed any kind of hard skills up until this point. That sort of first kind of 2-month sprint I did initially, obviously when I joined the original program that you guys were running, I think was probably one of the hardest and sprints that I've ever done, in the sense that I'd never done something like that before. I was going into it with blind confidence that I knew I made a decision. I was like, right, if I'm executing on this, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to make it work, and I'm not going to stop until I at least have some sort of success. And I came in, and at the time, I wasn't in a great place in terms of just life wise. I was a dropout of university. I was delivering pizza, as you know, for a couple of months there, just obviously trying to get by. And I was like, right, whatever I do next, I'm just going to make this work. I'm going to make it work somehow, even if I don't take it to the crazy levels or scale a massive business. I'm just going to get something going and just get a rung on the board. That was really what it was about. So with that mindset coming into it, it really allowed me to basically just go. I knew the stuff worked. I knew guys that were crushing it with the agency model. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to start moving. And every day, look, that's it. Once you make that decision, all you have to do after that is just schedule in the actions that you're going to take every single day, and then just execute on that consistently. And that's where most people fall short, is they get these big surges of emotion. They feel really good about what they're going to do, and they're going to build a massive business. And then it comes down to actually doing the stuff. They do it for a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week. Then it gets hard. Then they don't get any results. And then people are telling them to F off on the phone. And then it's like, okay, well, they skip a day. So, it's all good. I'll skip a day. I'll get back into it tomorrow. And one day turns to 2, 3. And all of a sudden, a month goes by, and then you haven't done anything, right? So I knew I wasn't going to do that, basically. So I came into it, just basically hit the ground running. I was like, I'm going to get results here, and then we both know in the sales games, it's really relatively easy to start, getting deals across the board if you just actually calling your prospects. Started getting on the phone, and then within 2 weeks, I closed my first deal for 5K.
Yep.
That was that first initial sprint. How that sort of changed today, I mean, I guess now, sort of back then, I had a bit more of a run and gun approach where it was like, I'm just going to do volume. Now things are a little bit more, obviously, methodical. Because
you have to be now.
Exactly.
You can't take on everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. Where it's like, right, let's just go. Let's just attack. That's what the mindset was, and that worked. Now it's more so like, okay, let's attack within this time window during the day. But, there's parts of my day where I do have to sort of be the ops guy. I do have to, obviously jump on the sales calls as well. I do have to, actually work with the team and obviously make sure they're trained up to a level where the product is up to standard. So now it's a little bit more methodical in that sense, but I think that almost makes you more effective too, because it's like with the limited time you do have to execute on the revenue generating tasks, that it's a limited time window. So you have to move, and you have to move quickly. Mm-hmm. And, I'm probably getting more done within the, 2-3 hour time window than I was, in a full day back then, just because you grow as a person, you actually understand what real work looks like,
And you really start to understand business. Let me ask you this. My follow-up question to that is, at what revenue mark were you at in the business where you decided we have to be more tactical about the customers that we're taking on, because we can't take on everybody?
Yeah.
I have a number in my head and I want to see if I'm correct, but you answer it first.
It was probably in the range of like 15 to 20K a month.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
What were you thinking?
I thought you were going to say 50. Because I remember last year you were hovering around 50 grand a month for a while.
Yeah, that's right. I think that sort of 15 to 20 range, that was really where I was still kind of operating, I guess, as you could say, as like a freelancer, where
Yeah.
I didn't have any team, had no one under me.
Yep. That
Right.
makes sense.
I was fulfilling all of the work. And I mean, every agency owner has a story of a headache client that they signed when they were young that just absolutely shouldn't have gotten through the door. You know what I mean? Chargebacks, the rest of it. Then you start to really figure out exactly, okay, who are we going to work with and who are we not going to work with? I think that's when you start to make that distinction, is when you have a couple of hiccups, you work with a few smaller clients that demand the world of you, they take up your entire day, and you're like, okay, we can't continue to do that anymore. And it even got to a point around that level too, where I had to actually get rid of some clients, because it was like, okay, let's just think long term here. I need to scale things back, actually build some sort of operation here, to then obviously take the next jump and to take the next leap. Otherwise, you're just on a constant sort of hamster wheel. So I think around that 15 to 20K mark was when, I started getting a little bit more tactical with the brands that I was taking on, and actually obviously started to build a bit of a team as well. But yeah, like, I feel like that's just a rite of passage. Dealing with a headache client as an agency guy, you kind of just have to cop it on the chin and just be willing to go through that experience, because it does suck when you're dealing with a bad client. It's like, it affects everything. It affects your entire business, not just
happened. Because you're absolutely right. And
the
first time that happened, bro, I remember I had a client ghost me for $2,000 because they put 50% down. I did the work. I started delivering for them. I started making money. And then 3 months later, I'm like, yo, where's my $2,000? Like, I thought they were going to pay, right? And I basically said, I called her and I said, hey, can you pay me the $2,000 you owe me, right? And I had already in my mind written off the money. So out of principle, I went to Saint Laurent and spent all of it. As soon as it came in, I went to, because it was just like it's a rite of passage. It's like, if you
got to compliment,
and you need to, and it also kind of creates an abundance mentality, because I think, you have fundamentally and viscerally changed over the past few years as an entrepreneur in general.
Yeah.
Where I think you've now become more systems oriented, because I remember when you were at the 20K a month mark in the business, when you were closing everything. You was like, consulting deal here, client here, another consulting deal, downsell here, don't, like, all over the place. And that is the best way. And I think you'd agree with me, the best way to initially build the business, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to get reference experience and you have to get everything that you possibly can in order to just understand, okay, well, where do we go from here in order to get to where we want to be? And
that's right.
I think it started with when you brought on, I won't talk about it publicly, when you brought on your one client, and then when you signed UGG, that was a big deal. And then I completely house you for charging what you charge, because you're making you're making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So, and I think the direction that you go now from, because actually Jackson Blackledge is in a very interesting position where he's making a lot of money with his agency, and they do advertising, right?
Yeah, but, that's right.
It's more so now about charging big deals, and also figuring out how to negotiate some sort of performance fee on the back end, because you're now in a position where, like, you're one of the best in the business, bro. And one of the things that I learned as well is, like, even back in the day when I was at I'm not at the top, like, not at the top of my game, but when I felt like I was at the top of my game back in, like, November 2022, December 22, January 23.
Yeah. When
I thought my shit didn't stink, I realized that, like, afterwards, later on, I was like, whoa, like, I was way bigger than I thought I was. I didn't even know how big I was. I didn't even know how good I was. And it takes hard moments when you have to scale the business back and you have to go and take that quantum leap forward in order to become the next evolution of who you are and transcend who you are for who you want to become.
Yeah, and it's constant cycle as well. That whole thing, and you'll understand this that never stops. It's like, well, you have these big jumps, you have to come back. There's always a contraction when you take these sort of big quantum leaps, because it's just not realistic that you're going to sustainably make these jumps month on month on month on month on month. There's always a sort of down cycle to that. It's honestly, it's the exact same thing as like just market fluctuation. It's like, if things pump up real hard, it's just naturally everything needs to come down and contract a little bit. You're not going to contract to rock bottom, but you'll pull back a little bit where you weren't sort of, making crazy amounts like you once were, or the profitability wasn't crazy. There's like these big kind of jumps and then these big contractions, and it's just I feel like that's just a constant cycle, and we're gonna continue to experience that for years and years and years to come.
Absolutely, because I just did it. Exactly what you're talking about, I just did. You saw me. I restructured the entire company. I restructured everything, and now it's now put me in a different place where I've realized that I am my own bottleneck. Because I'm so used to being a solo operator, or like having like one other person.
Yeah.
And so I realized actually earlier today, and I've finally come to the conclusion, because like now I'm like, shit, like I need to hire more people. So I just hired 9 outbound guys for the software company. I need to hire 4 more people for the main business.
Yeah.
Because I have so much volume. And such like, dude, the volume that we're getting now is insane. And I went from, giant contraction to where I basically didn't do anything but restructure the company and think for a month, and flick the switch. And now over the past 7 days, we've averaged about 150 to 200 leads a day. Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I can't handle it.
Yeah. It's so funny because I'm in the same boat right now as well. It's like we're getting so many leads come through the door that my guys are setting, that it's getting to a point now where I'm training them to now take the discovery calls, where it's like, hey, I don't really want to talk to a lead unless I know that they're pretty rock solid and ready to buy. Just because it's like I can't take half an hour out of my time, especially when it's in the middle of sort of creative work tasks, to go and have a chit chat with a 10K a month business owner about, how they might, double their business in the next year. You know what I mean? It's just not worth it. So it's like, now that's kind of what I'm working on with my guys. It's like, okay, let's get to a point where so I can focus on actually building the infrastructure and hiring and making sure that we can continue to take on these leads. Let's get to a point where you guys are sending me the qualified stuff, and then all I'm having to do is basically close the deal and just onboard the client.
Yeah. You want to get to a point where you don't even have to get on the phone anymore.
Yeah, 100%, man.
You don't even have to get on the phone.
Because that's exciting when you start. Getting on the phone and selling deals is exciting when you start, because it's like money opportunity. But it's like when you've got those money opportunities coming in daily, it's like it starts to become a little bit like, okay, like who's got the most money? Like who where am I going to make the most money at, like today?
I think that you should start charging $25,000 setup fee.
Yeah. It's a good reminder, because I know that was always your big thing that helped me in the start, where it's like just charge a lot. And to me, 5K back in the day was a lot. And I know that helped me a ton, but now it's like
5K back in the day. Dude, 5K is still a lot for the average person. But for businesses, I said on the YouTube video a few days ago, I said, if you sell to people who are struggling, it's harder to sell to people who are struggling than businesses who are struggling, because businesses have more money. Businesses who are struggling have more money than people who are struggling, right?
Exactly.
So, it all comes down to, like, even me, right? Like, I'm a through and through salesperson. I didn't think that I was a natural salesperson, but I am and I don't think I am a natural salesperson, but through and through, I fucking love it. Now, there was times actually over the weekend, I was getting on the phone to close $500 deals. Yeah. And guess what, bro? I love it. I still love it. Dang, I still love it. Now we're actually we're doing some really interesting stuff that I'll tell you about. I don't know if it's suitable for the podcast, but like me and my business partner in Dubai, we're building a software development company. Where we go and we're going to hopefully be securing very big contracts. So anywhere, the lowest price that we're going to be being paid per deal per month is $50,000 a month. Yep. And it's recurring 1 year locked. Yep. So that's what we're looking at doing, just because like it's time to build something with real enterprise value. So this is like my little side project that I'm working on. But
it's the light stuff, the little money.
Yeah. And so basically where we can be contracted to build different products, regardless of where it is. And so the entire sell of it, and here's the thing, I'm not uncomfortable with telling people what I'm doing because you cannot replicate it.
Yeah.
If you were to replicate, like you just simply do not have the infrastructure. Anyone who's going to be watching this simply just does not have the infrastructure in order to build that, right? So
Sure.
because he has the software development agency already. He already has 50 employees.
Yeah.
And I'm coming in with the sales methodology, and actually being an American helps. And we're coming in and we're going to build something really big very quickly, because not only of our ability to sell, but also my corporate experience, his experience running that team, managing that team and working with those clients and doing the actual service delivery. So I just get to do what I naturally do best, which is sell.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be, hopefully it's going to be very profitable, but it's also going to be fun to build. I'll send you over what we did. You're going to love it. But
dude, yeah, I'm keen to see this. That sounds exciting, bro.
Yeah, no worries. And
oh no, I'm just taking some notes. I've got a question I want to ask. This is something that came to mind.
Cool. So now it's like I'm able to realistically, like that idea that I remember, like I was telling you back in the day about this building an ecosystem, right? Where everything comes together is like now my fundamental business philosophy. Mm-hmm. So everything that I do on a day-to-day basis, because, you know, my year, especially this year here in 2024, as we're recording this, my year has been me juggling multiple different projects all at once.
Yep.
And I realized that diversification is good, but diversifying too early is really, really, really bad. Mm-hmm. And so what I did was I had a really big win, really at the end of last year, at the end of 2023, had a really big win. I made a significant amount of money. And I immediately then said, okay, well, we just did really well here. Now let's do all these other different things that were completely not fucking related to the business that did very, very well.
Yeah.
Looking back, I should have said, okay, this is a lane that we're able to go in, and now it's all fucking systems go. I do not care. All systems go. Let's get it done. Let's do it. And so I ended up diversifying too early. When we had a validated product, we had a validated 7-figure business, right? Validated, done. Let's do it. Let's fucking hit the ground running. And so what ended up happening was I said, okay, well, we're going to build a software company. I'm going to build this brand in Dubai, which I ended up losing about $30,000 on because this Google search traffic just wasn't there. And lots of headaches with that. I had to fly to Dubai for a month to go handle meetings for that. And it was, you know, but obviously it was 100% worth it. I lost a lot of money on crypto, gambling and meme coins. And I wasted 2 months of my time sitting there staring at the charts and, you know, trying to make an extra $200,000 trading crypto in the markets. Didn't work. I round tripped about $500,000. And so, and then, you know, looking back, and then May comes around and I realize, I'm like, holy shit, where did my year go? What have I been doing this year? Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were onboarding fucking 5 clients a week for the agency, and I had to get rid of them all because it was revenue share, it was equity split model, because we were working on info and, you know, building out info businesses and that whole, you know, growth operator model, which is jokes. That people actually think they can make money doing that.
Yeah.
So, you know, and as somebody who's built, you know, who's made a very significant amount of money with info marketing and selling information, and I've had a replicable process in order to do that. It's quite different when you take people who have no experience and you have to help them build out a product, you have to do all this stuff. Sometimes it just simply doesn't work, no matter what your experience is, because today it's in the hands of the client.
Yeah.
There is nothing that I could tell you everything, and if you just simply don't do it, you're never going to do it.
Yeah, just on that growth operator model as well. I don't mind the model. I think the idea is there where it's like, okay, you partner with some well-established businesses, you take a revenue share plus a retainer, you blow them up, both parties make good money. Obviously, we both know guys that do really well with that. The problem that I have with it is the fact that it's sold as a biz op beginner opportunity. I think that's where the issue is. It's like, it is so logistically intense to get results for a business like that. Like, let's say a business that's actually going to get results, they're minimum probably doing anywhere in the info space between like 500K to $1 million a month, right? That's like a relatively small to middle size kind of info business. You know what I mean? There's guys that do like,
that's massive info business.
You think?
Do you know what the average guru makes?
How much?
$13,000 a month.
Okay, there you go. Cool.
So there's like 10 people, bro. There's like 10 to 15 people who are making more than 500 grand a month selling info.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's the thing. It's like, it's such a small pool. And with what the whole sort of info growth operator, whatever you want to call it, value proposition is, it's like you need to be doing so much for these already established businesses that it's like, if you're a beginner that's coming in and maybe you have like sales background and maybe you have a bit of marketing background, it's like, there's so much that you don't know that you're going to have to know in order to actually get results with this business. Like, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great pivot. I think a guy that's doing it really well right now is, I've been listening to a bunch of his stuff. I'm sure you know him as well. Iman's old guy, Paul Daly.
I know of him. I don't know him.
Yeah, so he's doing like info sort of growth operating stuff. I think
I was actually fighting with him over a client one time. Not fighting with him, but me and him were in competition for the same client.
Yeah, sure.
And the client didn't move forward with either of us. He actually ended up doing it himself.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there's maybe a few people that can do it really well. There's one guy who I don't even know if I should name him, but he's a savage, and he's one of the only people who I know who is also as qualified as me to teach sales. And he does it in the background and he crushes it. He's a savage. And so, you know, when you look at the business the opportunities of this business, right? I am one of the only people who's qualified to even do it.
Yeah.
The only way you can become qualified to do that is if you've actually built a multi-million-dollar info business, or you've been the number 2 or number 3 within a multi-million-dollar info business.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, like, back in the cash flow syndicate days, I invented a lot of the systems people used. Like, no one was talking about the shit that I was talking about until they realized what I was doing. Yeah. And I remember when I told you, I said, hey, I think I'm going to reach out to people and we're going to do the same thing and we're going to take equity splits. This was 2.5 years ago. Right. Yeah. And so what ended up happening was funny is I have been on and something that I realize now, and you also probably are the same way now, is with the way your business is going, is I realized that I've been on the forefront of trends 6 months to a year before they become trends. Yeah. So I notice opportunities in the marketplace before they actually become BizOpt or they become genuine massive opportunities in the marketplace. Do you remember when I tried to launch UGC University?
Yes.
UGC University it flopped. It got 2 sales the first day, and I thought I was going to do $250,000 a month. And UGC University was going to be teaching people how to become UGC creators, partner with brands, and get UGC deals and get brand content creation gigs, right? So 6 months later, TikTok Shop comes out, or a year later, TikTok Shop comes out. And now every single big giant grifter is on that business model teaching TikTok Shop. They've moved on to it. Now it's the big hot poppin' thing. And I realized that I was doing it 6 months to a year before it became poppin'. And now these dudes are making $500,000 a month selling the BizOpt and doing TikTok Shop. Yeah. And I'm kicking myself for it. I'm like, fuck. Right? The same thing with growth operating. I said, I think this is a great way to make money. If we can go and we can launch spinoffs and I can take a 20 to 50% equity share in the business as a consultant and help build the business using a bunch of these different creators, and we own a large majority piece of the pie across 20 to 50 to 100 people, and we actually build out a system and an ecosystem and an agency business that actually does that, then we're going to be very, very successful.
100%.
And then growth operator BizOpt comes around. That's marketplace. I'm sitting there saying with case studies of us tripling people's businesses going from 100 to 350 grand a month in 30 fucking days. And they're like, oh, well, I'm not sure. This other guy said that he would take 20% and it's a little bit cheaper. Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, well, the thing is, if you want to pay for quality, it costs money.
Yeah, exactly.
So you eventually, it's funny because you'll start to see that everyone, when you started saying, hey, we'll give you a free email deliverability audit, people caught on.
Yeah, it's still ripping as well.
And everybody and their mother was started to use it for outreach because unique mechanism stopped working. Because remember when we started talking about unique mechanism, this is about 2 years ago, and you're like, yo, these emails are ripping because I'm just pitching unique mechanism over the phone. And then everyone started doing unique mechanism.
Yeah. And now it's just corny. And now it's just cringe.
Now it's corny. It's the same way that or you don't pay offers are corny.
Yep. 100%. Because things come and go, man. That's the thing. It's like unique mechanisms. It's like the market has just heard that. They've heard about your 3-step multi-funnel intricate copywriting email system. You know, they've been pitched that before. They've signed the client that has offered something like that and they've been burnt. So now it's like you come in with this new unique mechanism. It's like, seen this before. We know how this old trick ends, you know? And that's kind of how it all just kind of develops. It's like you get people flood the market.
Yeah.
They actually end up doing pretty well, but then the market gets burnt by sort of this new trick, this new hack. So, same goes with like the cold email thing, where it's like people flood the market, everyone wants to do cold email, and now brand owners are just pissed because everyone's sending cold emails, and then you have to find the next thing.
Everyone's super mad. Exactly.
That's right.
What's funny about that is my unique mechanism has almost never been revealed because I am the unique mechanism. Because there is honestly, I'm not even sure if like I'm a super polymath now because, and also like quickly going back to the growth operating thing, because I want to make this very clear. Anyone that's achieved any level of success in business or in the info marketing space in general is by nature either a highly talented salesperson or a highly talented marketer, or the third, a highly talented content creator.
Yeah.
You cannot be in that business and be successful if you are not highly talented at either all three or one of the three.
Yep.
So I don't necessarily think now there is a person in this marketplace who is as qualified or has the articulation or has any of the other skill stacks that I have in order to compete in the marketplace. And I know that sounds super egotistical because I still do consulting here for clients. Like I'm still running some sort of agency consulting business. I'm still actively working. And also a lot of the consulting business now is where I'm just like, I look at other people's businesses and I just say, hey, here's how you improve them. Whether it's students' agencies or whether it's other people's, like I get paid for what I say and I get paid based on my thoughts and the value that I deliver to the marketplace, because we've had numerous successful clients who we've just snapped our fingers. I say one thing and I tell them maybe it's one thing about marketing, or maybe it's just one thing about process, or maybe it's sales system, infrastructure, or something like that. And they double the business overnight.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what business, double the business overnight, 30 days. We were able to, we had one back last September, $120,000 cash collected per month to $350,000 cash collected per month in 30 days with one thing.
Yeah.
Improve the messaging.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We improve the market.
But that's sometimes all it takes, man. You know, like people don't need radical changes to their business to start turning on the tap.
Yep.
Oftentimes it's just like a tweak here, a shift there, an add-on there that nobody else is doing. That's like prime example. And I'm giving away, it's not even giving away source. It's stuff that people know they should be doing, but they don't do. Where it's like the way we get leads is like everybody's running ads these days in the e-com market. It's quite a common thing. You know, agencies run ads to target e-com customers, and everyone's doing that. But we just go the step further, where it's like we're not doing anything that's crazy unique or it's actually as old as time. It's like, okay, every lead that comes through, getting about 30 to 40 leads a day through the ads, is we're just calling them every single lead within 5 minutes. And it's like, it's just the simple, basic, boring stuff like that, where it's like, it's not a crazy transformation. We're not really, doesn't cost a lot to do it. It's just doing it consistently, daily, that actually gets the results. And it's like, I'm fine saying these things because it's like people know they should be doing it, but they don't do it. And every time that is the case, I always find that you can tell people, but they're never going to do it anyway. It's like people are going to do it for a week. They're going to do it for 2 weeks, but there's no infrastructure in in place for actually consistently executing on that.
I agree, because, you know, what's funny about the marketplace now, especially agency and information marketing, is that right now we live in a time where everyone thinks that they need this hyper complicated funnel. You need to have an appointment setter. You need to have a closer. It has to be a 2-step sales call. It has to be many chat, auto DM here to do this and this and this, so that you get them in the lead magnet in the hopes that they book a call and they talk to the setter, and then the guy thinks they're talking to you and all this stuff, right?
Exactly.
And so I picked up the phone. I was on no sleep. I was awake for 36 hours, and I picked up the phone and I closed $5,000 in 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
right.
so we have this pussification and babyfication of and meekness that exists in the marketplace now, especially when it comes to salespeople. And I realized, and so I got my boy who actually used to work for Andy Elliott. Was working for Andy Elliott. I basically asked him, I said, hey, I have all these leads. I can't possibly work them myself. Can you help me dial? We did 10 grand in a day.
Yeah, that's right.
In a day, bro. The first day we did $3 grand. The next day we did 10 grand.
Yeah. That's right. That's it. Yeah, and that's how it is, man. That's actually an interesting point, because that's a good pivot I feel like we can make. What is it like? Because I feel like it's such a that sort of meekness and that sort of unwillingness to kind of just attack is very prevalent in salespeople today. At least that's what I've found, because I've cycled through salespeople, as most people that are running some sort of sales team have, where it's like, you bring in a sales guy, oftentimes they'll crush it for like a 2 to 3 week period, but they have these cycles where it's like they'll be effective and then they won't be. And then you kind of have to come in and give them a bit of a whip to get them back up to effective again. And then just in some instances, there's too much volatility in some sales reps to just, logically keep them around. And obviously you have to let them go. But occasionally you get the one that comes in, including my main sort of head of growth that's come in right now, that just absolutely dominates. They're hungry, they're motivated out the gate. Yeah. They just start killing it. What do you think the difference is, and how do you vet those people early? Like, what's your process for ramping up a sales rep? Because I think the worst thing that you can do as a business owner is get 2 months into, some sort of partnership with a rep and realize that they're not cut out for it. And then you have to go through that whole process again, because it is quite a slow process of ramping up when it comes to sales, because they do have to learn about your business.
Hire fast, fire faster.
Yeah.
Overhire and then fire.
Yeah.
That's it.
I like that.
The last thing, it's actually your job as a leader and as a manager and as a human being to make sure that people aren't wasting their time and opportunities that aren't cut out for them.
Yeah.
If you are unable to do something that, if you have an unwillingness to do something, it's either a physical or a mental block that's holding you back from doing that.
Yeah.
Right. And so you need to figure out why. So if you have a physical or a mental block from making calls and you have fear of rejection, then you either need to overcome that or you're never going to make it and it's not for you.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So it's now just about weeding out people. I am only hiring people who have at least 1 to 2 to 3 years of sales experience.
Yep.
If you have never made cold calls before and you don't want to run hard and you don't want to run fast and you don't want to make as much money as humanly possible, my team is not the place for you.
Yeah, exactly.
If you are not willing to put in 14 hours a day, my team is not the place for you.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Because guess what, man?
I want my people who are going to work with me and learn from me, because obviously, as you know, learning from me directly is very valuable. So number one, I don't want to waste my time. Number two, they're getting way more than just the value that they're being paid.
Yeah.
Right. So having me as a mentor, I think right now is one of the most invaluable things, especially for them, because they're just in a position where I'm going to either push them to be successful or they're not going to be successful, and they're going to get cooked. So when we think about how we do business, it's like, I don't want to be on a team. I don't want to run a team where they are not working 70 to 80% as hard as I am.
Yep.
And we do that by incentivizing commission structure. Right now, the software company salespeople get 60% commission recurring on whatever they sell.
Phew. It's juicy.
The other business is 20%. And our sales targets are $30,000 a week. Because now that I've realized, okay, shit, we have so much volume, we can be doing $15,000, $20,000 a day in sales.
Yeah, that's right.
So when we make the necessary changes, the business will overnight teleport from where it's at now to $600,000 to $1 million a month, $600,000, $1 million a month overnight. And then all I need to do is management. So because the thing is my sales process is so silky smooth and so dialed in that we're going to be able to get as many customers as possible just by being the best at what we do.
Yeah.
Because we have a culture of excellence.
Yeah. Oh, that man. I want to talk about something else here real quick and make a pivot. I want to get your opinion on this sort of moral high ground that exists in the whole, not even just agency space, business world in general, where, because I've seen, you see it a lot, especially as you start to grow. It's like people, competitors, they really have this opinion on exactly how everybody that sells what they sell should be conducting business. It's like, this is the industry standard. This is what everybody needs to be doing. Otherwise, a prime example is you mentioned charging $25K for a setup. A lot of people in my position and in my industry, and obviously in your industry, would look at that and go, no, that's not just, because that's not what I'm charging. You know what I mean? And they'll get into this big spat. They'll, scammer, whatever. They'll start calling you this. I want to get your opinion on that, because like the way I see it is this: if you could, and you knew you could deliver for the business, you would also be charging higher prices than the 100%. Competition. And I feel like it's almost this like inexperienced business owner thing where it's like, you hear these guys like almost, you say, double your prices and charge more than your competition. But when it comes to sort of, guys around at least my level sort of doing that, 80K, 100K, even up to like maybe 200, 300K a month, it's almost like this thing where it's like, oh, you can't be doing that because that's not what I'm doing. And this is industry standard. It's like people have this real kind of like judgment around and sort of conviction in what they're doing, that they start projecting that outwards. Yeah. But that's kind of how I always see it. It's like, if you could, and you could get the result, you also would.
I actually I agree with you, but I also understand where they're coming from. Now, yeah. I'm gonna explain first why I understand where they're coming from. So why I understand where they're coming from is simply when I see guys that are charging double what I charge for information that is not as good as mine, or mentorship that isn't as good as mine, I'm like, shit, I gotta raise my prices, right? Yeah. So that kind of pisses me off a bit. On the other hand, and it pisses me off because it just shows me, okay, I need to be charging more.
Yeah.
I've sold $10,000 consulting deals, no problem.
Yeah.
Right? I've also sold way bigger deals throughout my career. So I want to be in a place and a position where, now I get one side of the business is B2C, but I want to be in another side of the business where we can basically just charge whatever we want.
Yeah.
And people who are inexperienced are going to say, oh, well, he charged $25,000 for a setup fee or an engagement fee just to do the work. Well, it's because you're working with a company that's huge and has millions of dollars and you can get results for.
Yeah.
Because now your process and your stuff is worth that much now. Your process, when you're just starting out, it's worth a few grand, right? Get a few grand in. But you got to constantly be increasing your prices. Back, like when I decided, I was like, oh, fuck, I don't want to do email marketing anymore. I was like saying, okay, I was throwing out numbers so that they would say the price is too high.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, so it's $9,000 for a setup fee. And then we charge $15,000 a month. And I just wanted them to say no. And then literally 2 weeks into that, I'm like, I'm getting up at like 8 a.m. Pacific time, and I'm like tired because I was like out partying the night before or something. And I get up and I would wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And so then that causes you to then say, okay, contract the business and then take that quantum leap forward.
Yeah.
So it's important to understand, like, these guys are like, most of these people on the internet now are like these newbie business owners. Like, they're not good at business. Because if they were good at business, they'd be making at least $5,000 a day.
Yeah. I like that, man. Yeah.
$5,000 a day, but at least $30,000 a month in profit.
I think that's super interesting.
One more thing. You don't get good at business until you have your first 30 to 50K a month.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's because that's the thing, man. It's like there's all this kind of talk amongst, I guess, like, because I still consider, and I am realistically a small kind of agency owner. There's agencies, big sort of conglomerate, especially here in Australia. We've got massive. I don't know if you know who Sabri Subi is. He's a big marketer, runs a massive agency down here. Millions and millions and millions of dollars a month. That's what I consider sort of a big kind of corporate agency. And it's so funny because I know that we've gone back and forth before and sort of dogged on, I guess, these bigger corporate agencies, but and with right reason, because a lot of the time they do suck. and they don't get results for their business. And we often use that as a selling point to, sign clients for us, because obviously we're, smaller, more sort of tailored kind of experience. That's kind of our whole thing as a smaller agency. But in saying that as well, and there's two things here. It's like, as you start to grow, you can really take a lot of the marketing sort of stuff that these bigger agencies are doing and a lot of the way that they operate, and start to implement that into your own business. And in a way, you kind of just over time transform into one of these bigger agencies. I think there's just a right way and a wrong way to do it. I think that's a really important thing. It's like, instead of looking at them and going, oh, we get better results, so we're better. Well, that's not really the case, because at the end of the day, it is a business. They're making more money than you. The founder's taking home more profit.
They're right? Yes.
Exactly. And I think this is an important thing as well, because it's like, I think looking ahead, and like the OGs of the game, you can take a lot from them. And even sort of like real OG sales guys, like I know you know who Jim Donovan is, one of the OG guys of the finance consulting world over there in the States. Like, even just like tapping into some of the stuff that he has to say, it's like real just experienced industry knowledge. I think you can take a lot from that. And whatever these big guys, because you know for a fact that these big agencies, they're charging 20, 25 grand a month.
100%.
And so you can look at that and go, okay, what gives them the qualification to do that, considering we're getting better results? And then you can kind of reverse engineer it and sort of see how that can work into your business,
And do you remember when we found out that the big agencies were, when we were like, years ago, when we found out that the big agencies were charging that because we were fucking taking their clients?
Yeah.
We were taking their clients independently. So for the listener, right? So there was a time where I actually found out that a company was charging, an email marketing agency was charging $10,000 a month, 6-month lock contract, locked retainer. And they had done $1,000 in revenue over the course of those 6 months with it. And so I got pissed off, and I had one of my reps at the time, I had him scrape a lead list of every single one of their customers. And then me and Oscar actually reached out to them.
Yeah, that's right.
Independently, his agency reached out to them and my agency reached out to them, and we poached clients from this one agency. And it's actually a very good business model. If you want to make money, just simply sell to the people who are already spending money on the service.
Yeah, that's right. That's always the easiest person to sell to as well. If someone's spending, like if someone gets on a call and they go, okay, cool, what's your experience with agencies? It's always a question they ask, and they go, yeah, we work with an ads agency and a Google agency going pretty well. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be the easiest person to close, because they're already spending on services. It's just, you need to convince them that their money here is going to be also worth it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's funny, man, because I think what was the question right before? What was the concept that we were
just
talking
on the sort of how do you sort of take inspiration from these bigger companies that are
so
bigger numbers?
You can even see the crossover from how I teach and what I teach and some of the influences that I've had in business.
Yep.
If you want to learn client fulfillment, right? My client fulfillment strategy, what did I always used to say? White glove the customer.
Yeah.
That comes from my experience in corporate, where you stay on top of the customer. It doesn't matter if you're submitting an application, it doesn't matter if whatever stage the deal is in, right? When I used to send deals to underwriting, right? I would call the customer and say, hey, Oscar, I just want to let you know that I received everything. I took a look at it and I've already sent it through to the underwriting team, and I should have a decision for you within the next 24 hours. Sometimes it's a little bit faster. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. If I need any further documentation or we need something to request, just make sure you stay by the phone and make sure that we're able to get that so I can move it along in the process as fast as possible. And like I said, I'll have more information for you here. So expect a call from me when I get that information.
Yep.
And it's just like, when they send you stuff or when you do something, you make it, all I did was click a button, right? I clicked push, right? Move to underwriting, right? Or move the deal forward in the deal process.
Yep.
Bro, I didn't do anything. But now the customer's, wow, David just called me. He's on top of his stuff. He just want to let me know. He's constant updates, constant contact. And so that's something that I take from not only my experience in corporate, but also when we are speaking to clients. I remember back when I was in college, I saw those Jim Donovan videos and the way he was talking about client management, client fulfillment. And so what I teach is a mixture of my own experience and the influences that I've drawn upon, right? Yeah. You can take, when I show you what I'll show you for the software company, it's ripped, right? It's not ripped, but it's straight out of the McKinsey playbook.
I was just about to say,
Straight out McKinsey playbook, bro. Because guess what? If these businesses are making billions a year, they are doing something that you are not doing.
that's
Or
right.
you would be making billions of dollars a year.
Yeah, yeah,
At some point, I think it's a really good idea for me to bring on someone who has experience in private equity and venture capital acquisitions,
yeah,
because they know something that I don't, right?
yeah.
I need
That's
to
right.
learn. Like, I understand that even though I've climbed to, relatively to the top of the mountain here, I am, relatively to most business owners and most small business owners, because unless you're doing $10 million or more a year, you're still a small business.
Yeah,
And relatively, I think that we're in a position now where you have to, like, there's not many people in the online space that I can learn from.
mm.
I'm not a master of paid acquisition, affiliate stuff, like how to basically acquire customers for less than what they spend, right?
Yeah, yep,
Also, I am not a master in real estate. I don't really know real estate.
yep,
Two things I want to learn that I would love to learn, which is how we can go. And I have a finance background, but it's been years since I've even taken a look at that stuff. I'll watch a video here and there, but I don't know that stuff, right? So my best bet is if we are starting so I have a holding company that owns the other businesses, right? So it's essentially a diversified investment company, right? So whereas I am the person running the businesses, I am the operator of the businesses, and we are investing our capital, our human capital, into different areas like software, like development, like this, like that. So one of those things eventually down the line is real estate acquisitions, and I need to understand that. So there's nothing better than to bring someone on to a team somewhere for some sort of either profit share, equity share, investment capital, something like that, who has experience doing those transactions. And you have to think about businesses like, okay, like, well, where do I want to be and what's the highest leverage, right? If you don't know something, it's very important to ask for help, right? When you didn't know how to run the agency business, you came to me, right? You found my stuff. And so it's beautiful how it comes full circle, because the more that the better that you get and the more money that you make, you realize you don't know shit.
yeah,
Like, and everyone thinks everyone overcomplicates it, where they think that they need this complicated funnel, they need this complicated thing, they need this system, this structure, whatever the psyop is these days, or whatever the business strategy or the biz op is these days, with the high ticket closer model. And then people are selling high ticket closers, and then some guy like Devontae Masson comes in and he fucking smokes everybody
yeah,
in terms of filling sales reps out of nowhere, just because he has he has a better process, and he's just simply better because he actually has sales experience. That one's
yeah, yeah,
like every high ticket closing person, every recruitment agency has just gotten absolutely trounced within the span of 4 to 5 months.
yeah,
It's fucking hilarious.
yeah,
Just destroyed, because
yeah.
then you realize that competency always rises to the top. Because
Sure.
Dev actually knows, like Dev, good dude, actually knows how to sell, rises to the top because he just simply knows what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
He's faking it the whole time.
And that leads into another point as well. It's like there's always room in the market for a winner.
Yes.
It's like you can look at these things objectively, and they go, "Oh, this market's saturated, this offer's saturated." But it's like, what do you think would happen? Let's just say like a 10-year seasoned vet in the sales game, sold and exited a couple of different agencies, came back, and then decided that they wanted to start an email marketing agency today. Where do you think that would be within 6 months? They'd be smoking the competition, because there's always room in the market.
50
Yeah.
a month.
Yeah, there's always room in the market for a winner. There's always room to come in and then dominate. It's like saturation really only exists at kind of the low levels. Once you're at the top, and once you're sort of starting to become one of the best in a specific industry, it's like the deal flow is like infinite. As long as you're doing the right stuff, the deal flow is infinite. Everyone's going to sign clients, and especially in a market like e-commerce, where like the TAM is huge. Like it's just infinite TAM, and it's constantly growing, and people are spending money in that industry. So it's like you just need to kind of position yourself where in the direction where the money's coming from. You might collect a bit of it.
Exactly. And I think that what's funny is there's always room in the market for a winner at every single level.
Yeah.
Even at the $50 to $100 million enterprise value level, you're starting to get offers to get bought out.
Yeah.
You want to know why? Because they see that you're winning, and they need to buy you out before they get fucking smoked.
Yeah.
And you know what most
100%.
people do? They take the check.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. If you said, "Yo, I'll give you 100 mil," I might have to take that check, right?
Yeah.
But
100%.
it's incredible because like I actually know a guy who he runs a very very famous and influential company in the online space. It's a technology company. I'll
Yep.
tell you off camera who it is.
Yep.
They got an offer for, I think it was $112 million,
Mm.
and they said,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they said no.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I don't know. I'm taking that check, dude.
Yeah.
That's it. And because when you build something that's your baby, and when it's new and
Yeah.
it's innovative, and when it captures a lot of market share, what ends up happening, dude, is like you get into a position where it's like, oh shit, like people want to buy me out because it's so good. Oh, that means it's even better than it is. And then a lot of founders, what happens to them, and a lot of entrepreneurs, what happens to them is then they run the business into the ground, and then it's worth 25% of what they got the offer for
Yeah, exactly.
because their
Yeah.
ego gets too big.
Yeah.
And so you have to really know when to cut your losses, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people start out in business, they're never going to fucking make it, right?
Yeah.
If you're watching this video and you're watching this podcast, you're watching this interview, you have a chance. But you have to do the right things on a day-to-day basis. You have
Yeah.
to do the right inputs in order to leverage yourself into the person that you want to become and get your business to the point where, I actually think like if you're an agency owner stuck at 10K a month, you're in absolute fucking purgatory. You are in purgatory. 10, 20K a month as an agency owner, you are in purgatory.
Yeah.
No one else. I think I'm the only person in the market who has educational material that
Yeah.
teaches people actually how to scale outbound teams and how to manage outbound teams and how to, on top of like inside of the agency business.
Yeah.
Because you can do a lot of the hiring, training, and management yourself. You don't need to pay a recruitment firm or one of these guys online for sales reps.
Yeah.
As long as you can put in the time and effort and energy to making sure that, because you also have to take your licks, right? You can't circumvent the work. You can't just spend money on a sales rep and think, oh, he's going to be great, right?
Yeah.
Because the company that you're buying them from, they're incentivized to sell as many sales reps as possible. They're a recruitment firm.
Yeah.
Right? So they don't really care.
That's
They
right.
don't really care. So
I think that pivots well to this final point I want to make here. Because you mentioned it, it's like not everybody's going to win in business. Not everyone's cut out for it. And I know for a fact that's something that I see a lot of the time as well. It's like I get now a lot of newer people entering the space. They want to do something online. They might have a marketing degree or a sales job, and they're like, "Hey, I want to do something online. I want to sort of build a business." And you said it there really well. Something I always ask them is like, "Okay, well, first thing you got to ask yourself the question is like, is it something that you really want?" It's one thing to say it, you know what I mean? It's one thing to be like, "Oh yeah, like I want to build a business and make a ton of money." But it's like, do you really? It's like, is that what you really want? Like, and I think it's a genuine question that everybody needs to ask themselves. And it's not like I think I'm better than you question. It's kind of like, no, like just what do you want your life to look like? And is sort of business success a mandatory component of that? Because if it's not, it's just, you're not going to like, if you don't want it, if that's not who you are, if it's not within you, it's like, you aren't going to excel. Like you aren't going to do it. It's like, you really have to know deep down if this is what you want. And then once you make that decision, you can't tiptoe in and out of that. Like that's it. You're all in, because what happens is if you make that decision, because there's two routes. You can go down that sort of 9-to-5 kind of corporate route, which I think is great. I have a lot of mates that have gone down that path and they do really well for themselves, and you're going to make a ton of money in that corporate route. And then there's obviously the business side of things, which is objectively harder. It's going to take longer, but down the line, that's where you see the success of it. And I think you have two options there. One's cozier, one's a lot harder, but the upside's a lot more. The thing is, once you make a decision, you can't tiptoe between that, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to get 10 years down the line. And because you weren't able to make a decision, you're excelling in neither of those paths. So it's like, what I always ask them, I'm always like, hey, like if you are serious about this, make the decision. Is this what you want to do? And if it is, make the decision and stick to it infinitely. That's it.
absolutely,
there's no turning back after that.
Absolutely. And so to that point, I think you're absolutely right. I equate it to that thing that you just described, where people have to choose between the path of the most resistance and the path of the least resistance.
Yeah.
I equate it to you being in prison.
Yeah.
Once you sign that deal, it's like a 360 deal, bro, with a record label. Once you sign your name on the line that is dotted, you can never go back. Bro, I made $100-something thousand in a fucking week before. If you think that even if I went fucking broke tomorrow, if you think that I would go back to some corporate fucking job and go work for a few grand a month, you're insane.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out, bro.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. Give me 3 months. Give me 6 months. I'll be back. I'll have fucking Rambo again.
Yeah.
You have to understand that this is genuinely not for everybody. Building a business is not 10K a month.
No.
You don't stop at 10K a month. I understand that people want freedom income, but I am not a person who, like, I don't even think I could fucking survive on 10K a month. Right now.
Yeah.
I'm not even a person where it's like 10. I'm like
a
month, like what, 120 a year?
Yeah, it's like food.
Like, bro, I'm not in a week. Like, what?
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Like I've done 50 grand in a day. I've done 100-something thousand in a week. Like, and the thing is like the better that I get, the more opportunities are able to be presented to me and present myself to, and I present myself to, because I'm just in a position now where I'm just proving every single day. I'm proving my competency, and I'm proving my experience, and I'm proving my results, and I'm proving it to myself. I work about 18 hours a day right now.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. My stress levels and cortisol are through the roof. Actually, they're a lot less than they were like last month while I was like restructuring the company. But my stress, I actually feel fairly free. I feel good. Even though I'm sleeping a few hours a night, I feel good because I know that I'm on my purpose and I'm on my mission and I'm doing what I'm put here to do. And here's the thing is, it might sound absolutely crazy, but I like making money more than the average person. And the average person is 10 grand, 20 grand a month, enough to go on vacation, enough to have a nice spot, enough to do that, right? If you want to run a business like that, cool. Nothing wrong with that. If you want to make 5K extra a month, nothing wrong with that. Buy my stuff. I'll teach you the way to do it within like 7 days. Fairly simple. And you can get to that point really fast. The point where it's very hard to get to, I have one friend who's doing multiple 8 figures a year. Won't say his name, won't say what he does. But he tells me, like, I know operationally their level of scale, and I admire it because now the business grows without them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's great. That's dope. I want to do that. How do I do that? And so you have to be in a position where you're going to sit there and just listen to people who are just simply better than you.
Yeah.
Right. And even on this, like, there's nuggets of information that you and I are both taking, and it's great because you're where you are now after 2 years. You're well into the $1 million a year in AUD status now.
Yeah.
Sick, bro. And I'm proud of you for that.
Thanks,
because
man.
2 years ago, you were delivering pizzas.
Yeah. It's crazy. So real.
It's like, it's beautiful how things come full circle. And now we get to have higher level conversations because we are different entrepreneurs now. Different business owners, and we know how to have these conversations, and there's higher level things. And it's now to the point where you're competing with guys like Sabri.
Yes.
Business.
For their business, 100%.
Business.
And it's so funny as well, because when you get to a level, it's like when you're talking to these higher level prospects, what you realize is very, very quickly is there's a pool of like 5 to 10 agencies that are actually dominating, which are actually sort of competing in the game for the high level clients. It's like you'll get on these calls, and if someone tells me that they're talking to another agency, without hesitation, I always ask them, just tell me who it is. I'll tell you straight away what I think. And bro, sometimes that'll come to me and guys that we know through Twitter and stuff, and they'll tell me who, and I'll be like, so what's the deal? Like are they like, and I'll tell them straight away, I'll be like, honestly, it's probably going to come down to personal preference. I believe that we're both going to do a pretty similar job. I think we're both going to be able to fulfill at a high level. I know his stuff. I know what he does. I know his operations. I know that he gets good results. I said it's probably just going to come down to personal preference, what you prefer over the design style, our copy style, our communication style. It's really just going to be an intricate here. Like if you go with him, I think that's an absolute great decision as well. And I'll be open and honest about that. To some of these high level prospects. But you realize that it's like there's a pool of prospects or a pool of agencies that like the top 80% of the market are going to, and you realize who they are very, very quickly because you have these conversations on these calls. It's hilarious, man. Yep. And then obviously you have the lower end of the agencies that are obviously fighting for they're fighting
for dog shit.
Yeah.
They're fighting for the dog shit. See, and this is a testament to not only your work ethic, but also like, our kind of communication and mentorship over the years, dude. It's like, and our friendship over the years is that, you've gone from somebody who was fighting for the dog shit deals to somebody who's closed some of the biggest businesses in the world.
Yeah.
And it is not only incredible, and I commend you for it, but now you're realizing, oh shit, this is what it's like to compete in a hyper competitive business marketplace.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
Because now, actually, I think that and I'll give you some game, bro. There's a better way to sell that deal than, hey, it just comes down to personal preference. Because guess what? Your team isn't as big.
Yeah.
You guys are taking more time.
Yeah.
More care and more quality. So now you're in the position where, okay, how do I figure out like, dude, for the software development stuff, we are competing with companies doing 200 million a year. 200 million a year. Like the top company, I think, is doing 250, something like that, with 2,000 employees. So guess how do I beat them? Figure it out. I pick it apart, reverse engineer, right? And say, okay, well, where can we win? And it goes back to this YouTube video that I made where you can win on brand, you can win on pricing, and then you can win on product. And then you figure it out. So like, if you can win on brand, right? I think in terms of branding, there's a lot of things that can always be done in terms of content, in terms of top of funnel, and because top of funnel is for everything, right? In terms of content, top of funnel, and just winning on brand, right? How cute your website looks, right? Your reviews, your shadow funnel that people have, that you have set up, right? People don't know about the shadow funnel. What happens when they research you? So, and so you have to have these internal and external processes built out. And so then you can see if you can compete on pricing. Then compete on product. Because, if a company is similar, because actually they are going to be similar in terms of the results that they drive. And that's what happens when you get into the difference between working with a McKinsey or a Deloitte or a Bain is just simply like, they all do the same thing, right? Yeah. It's the same. It's Pepsi versus Coca-Cola. It's Ghost versus Monster.
Yeah.
This stuff I think is a better product.
Yeah.
And also because one of my first clients did all of the furniture for the Ghost Nutrition office in Chicago.
Yeah, I think I know that. I think I know which client that is. Yeah.
That was one of the first ones. And so that was one of the first big ones. And that was really cool. And so simply they're beating Monster on brand, they're beating Red Bull on brand, they're beating them with product and somewhat competitive price.
Yeah.
So therefore, this is how they earn my business.
Yeah.
Same thing that I just said is how you earn anyone's business. And selling to people who are more successful is always going to yield you more financial return, more financial results, and more money than selling to someone who is a shit muncher.
Yeah. Facts.
Dude, this was good.
Bro, this was really good. We got to run this back like 100%. We got to do a part 2, man. I think we touched on some. I think people are going to get a ton of value out of this, and they're really going to enjoy it. Like, we talk some interesting stuff, man. I think just like a lot of stuff that people kind of want to talk about. Like we talked about, obviously, like market competition and stuff like that, but it just doesn't get talked about enough. Everything's always like guru sales hack, do this, sign your next 10 clients or whatever it might be. It's never really like high level kind of game. Strategy stuff and thoughts.
That's why my YouTube is cooking right now, dude. I'm up like 1,500 subscribers in the first like 7 days of posting every day. And I'm just dropping bangers, bro. I'm just talking about what I know. Like, people don't realize none of this shit is scripted. Like, I'm running businesses. Like, I'm working. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a full-time content creator, right? Most people need to be full-time content creators.
Yeah.
In order to do this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just swing it. I sit there and talk to the camera. And I talk about what I know, and I talk about what's on my mind. And I think I think this video has more game than all of my YouTube videos combined. So far, no one will watch it. No one will watch it.
Yeah. People get like an inkling of success and they want to start just filling in first. But boom, it's like that's the first thing. It's like you see like these sales guys specifically like sales guys go from selling these deals into like high ticket coaching courses, and that's like just what's rampant in the market right now. And it's just like
I kind of want to do it just a straight up sales course, just to siphon market share and make it like
yeah,
200 or $400.
yeah,
Do a sales course and just yeah, that's it.
yeah.
Like I
So
have this
man,
funnel right now, bro. Like I know this is the last thing I'll give you is like I have
yeah,
a funnel in my acquisition process where like bro, my funnel is so straight up. It's like, yo, thanks for giving me your data. I literally say, thank you for giving me your valuable data. If you click the link below, you'll get access to my free stuff. And the reason I'm giving you something for free is so that you buy something from me in the future because you see how good the free stuff is. If the
yeah,
free stuff is so good, and this is what I'm putting out on YouTube and social media and everything for free, imagine what's in the paid stuff. Because imagine, bro. Oh my God, I'm watching it for free. 2 years later, they're making 80 grand a month. Done.
yeah. And that's on the marketing side, but also the sales side as well. And yeah, I'm giving away some game here, but it's like that's how I pre-frame all of my calls now, where it's like if we're doing something free for them, so like an audit obviously is a prime example. It's you just take all question out of what's going to happen in the first 5 seconds of the call. It's like make them extremely comfortable in the process and be honest with them about what it is the end goal is. So I'll just like the way I pre-frame the call these days, like, hey, thanks for jumping on. I know we gave you a call after you booked in for one of my ads. Just to give you a bit of an overview how this kind of works, I'm just going to go through. I was going to ask you a few questions. I think I just want to learn a little bit more about your business here. And then from here, obviously, no pressure on the first call. We want to go and have a look into your business, see if we can get results. We're going to give you everything for free. So basically, tell you exactly what it is we'll do. And from there, basically, get a choice. Obviously, you can go and implement yourself, or we can have a conversation down the line if that would be something that you're interested in. And it's sort of like putting that way into the future where it's like, hey, initially, let's just like get to know each other and learn a little bit about the business,
Yeah.
and that's just worked wonders, man. It's like and not being afraid to obviously bring that up in terms of that's where you want to end up. It's like, hey, you got two choices there. You're sort of just like pre-framing what's to come, And so when that second call comes around, when you present what they know that that's exactly where it's going. It's like, oh, so at the end of this, going to ask for a decision, and then we'll go from there. It's like, it's just a much prospects come into the conversation just really relaxed. It's like, oh, okay, cool, we're just having a chat, just talk, easy.
I took a call earlier. I was the buyer on the other end for the first time in a while, man. I was the buyer, and the account executive. I spoke with the SDR yesterday, and it's a software, and the account executive gets on the phone. He's like, "Hey, usually we have three outcomes." And I was like, "Bro," I was like, "Bro, like, listen." He said, "You don't need to use." I said, "We don't need to use that." Like, I was like, "Dude, like full transparency. Like, I don't want to be a douche, right? Because it sounds
Mm.
super douchey." But I'm like, "Hey, bro, like, look, like, like, just a little background about me. I'm an ex-account executive at this company, and I'm like, look, I was like, dude, I've been in the game for years. I said, we don't need to go through the tactical sales stuff. I said, we can just have a conversation. I'm already sold on the software. The only thing I'm not sold on is if it's the right time for me yet. I just wanted to get a demo. I know it works. We're going to be moving forward at some point in the future. It's probably not going to be right now. A little bit of information about where we're at with the company. Here's how many reps we have. Here's what we're looking at in terms of pricing. I want some information. I want a product demo. I want to see how the tech has changed since I used it 3 years ago. Like and he was like, okay, cool. And then like we ended up just like chopping it up. And I'm going to buy it. I'm just not going to buy it now, right?
Yeah,
And it's as straight. You can be as straightforward as possible. I do not buy when someone's trying to force me to make a decision.
yeah,
When I got offered the chocolate dial, did I text you about that when I was in Mexico? When I flew to Mexico on my Christmas vacation,
no.
December.
Oh, I remember we spoke over that period, but yeah.
I got offered my first Rolex at retail, which was a
Mm.
chocolate dial presidential, chocolate dial presidential rose gold, and day date. And I told the guy, he texted me, I literally landed in Cancun in Mexico, and he texted me, said, "Hey, we have your piece. Come pick it up." I was like, "Dude, I left that day." And I'm
Mm.
like, "Fuck." And I wanted to buy it. And I said, "Hey, send me the payment link. I'll pay right now. I'll come pick it up next week, 2 weeks."
Yeah,
Never sent me the payment link.
yeah,
And so I think he hit up his list and everything like that, and then eventually he comes back around to me after not responding when I asked for the payment link. And I mean, I know that's how Rolex wants to do business. They want to sell the wait list. But if somebody's willing to pay you, if you send a text to somebody and say, "Yeah, send the payment link, I'll pay right now, and I'll pick it up
mm.
in 2 weeks" for $45,000,
Yeah,
you are smoking some sort of crack. I want whatever drug that guy. He didn't answer why. And I like the guy, he's a nice guy. But why? And so I told him at the end, I was like, usually like if I would hear that, like, okay, I would say, okay, well, if you can increase efficiency by X%, then it's this kind of return and this logically makes sense. You have to always build the logical link in order to get somebody moving forward, right?
Yeah.
Now it's just not the right time because we're in all I wanted to get was some information, right? So pushing someone who wants to only get information or who might be on the fence about if it's going to work. Like I said, I know it works. Everything like that is all good. But then if you push somebody to make a decision when they said, I just need a demo to see exactly how I can implement it, because what I want to do is I want to perfect my process first and then use it to squeeze the fucking juice out of it.
Yeah, facts.
So that being said, it's like people tell you how they want to be sold. People tell you exactly what they want. If somebody says, hey, look, I just want to get some information. We're going to be moving forward at this time. Don't even worry about that deal. Give them everything they need to make a decision. Don't push them to make a decision because if you do, it's going to kill the deal.
Yeah, facts.
Cool. Oscar, my friend, I'm proud of you.
Bro, this has been great. This has been so good. I'm keen to get this out. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if you want to post it or I want to post it. I'm easy, bro, to be honest.
I'll post it.
Yeah, you want it? Cool.
Yeah, so, I'll post it. Student results from delivering pizzas to $80,000 a month with his own agency. Story of Oscar Garcia of Strike Copy.
Yeah.
I'll do a nice intro. I'll be like, in this video.
Yeah.
I'll just do a sit down and be like, yo, this is a podcast interview recording I did with this guy, and he's a fairly successful entrepreneur now.
Yeah. Let's go, baby.
I appreciate you. Much love. I know you got things to do. I have to meet with my team now, so I'll let you go.
Let's do it, bro. All right,